Hi everyone. So let us start with today's session. Today we have chosen the topic that is Advent of Europeans to India, which is the first lesson of history. Okay. So before we get into the actual lesson, let us understand what is Advent and Europeans to India. Advent it's a kind of adventure you do it in your life. You're stepping in to do a new activity. When do you call something as an adventure? Let us say you have not climbed any mountain and you do it for the first time, and it is not an easy task. It is a task which includes your life. You have to take risk. Many days you will not get proper food. So this is called an adventure. So Europeans, okay, in the globe, we stay here, Indians. So these countries are called European countries. Okay, so these country people, they came to India to do trade. Traders to do business, mutual exchange of goods. Okay, they took our goods to their country, which they used to not produce, and they sold their goods here in India, which we were not able to produce. So for that purpose, Europeans came to India, and then started the history. They came here to do trade, but later they started occupying our places. That is because we were not united. United is what today we have a proper government. So no other country can come and purchase Karnataka, or it cannot come and rule Tamil Nadu, because we have our own government. There is a centralized system. That system has multiple ministers and they are taking care of each and every things in this country. So nobody else can come and occupy our country now. They can come here to do business, they can come here for tourism, they can come here to stay, but not to occupy our country. But earlier it was divided. The country was divided, and we had kingship or queens who were ruling our states and provinces. And they, according to their will and wish, few people fought against British or any other countries, and they did not give their places for ruling. But few, let us say, for money purpose, or they were weak, so they could not defend the others, that is European countries, and gradually Europeans occupied our country, especially the English people. They occupied our country and they started ruling. Okay, so that is what we all know in the history. Now let us understand, why did they come here, how did they come here, and who all came, what happened then. Okay, so now actually we are starting the lesson. Okay, so to come to India, there should be one motivation. They came to do trade. Trade is what? Exchanging of goods or selling, purchasing anything. So India had spices. Spices are what? We had pepper, cardamom, ginger, etc. Okay, cardamom, pepper. So all these spices were produced especially only in India. We used to cultivate spices, and European countries did not have this kind of spices, or they didn't know how to grow this, or even if they grow, their climatic condition of soil did not help them to obtain the essence that India can produce. So they depended on us for the spices. Okay, so what happened, they started coming to our country for not only for our country, they also came to Asian countries. Okay, because we also are the part of Asian continent, right? So that included India, then China, then so other things. Okay, Pakistan was not there till then, we were not divided. So other countries, all this Asian continent, they came here to do the trade. Okay, so they came here for trading spices. Then what happened? Slowly they also started selling their products. They have not mentioned what products. Let us take some of the foreign cloths, fabrics which we were not able to produce. Okay, then what happened? In the Middle Ages, so the time period is divided into 2 or 3 groups, right? The Old Age, Middle Age, Stone Age, etc. So in the Middle Age, what happened? India, Europe and other Asian countries were performing their trade activities using a common place. Like for example now, though we are staying in Karnataka, all the main centers or the capitals ruling government, everybody stays in Bangalore, right? So like that, for all these people, there was a common platform called Constantinople. So this was a place of Roman Empire. So it is also called as Byzantium. So here, in this place Constantinople, the trade used to take place. It was the center. Hence, Constantinople had a name called Gate of, it was called as Gate of European Trade. Why do we call it as a gate? If you open the gate, then only somebody can enter your place, right? So it was a gate of European trade, where European countries did trade with Asian countries, especially with India. Then, so there were two kind of people who were doing the trade. So let us take Asian continent. So in the Asian continent, both came from the east side itself. One is the Arabian countries, other one is the European countries, especially Italians. Okay. So now this is Asia. This part of Asia is eastern countries. Okay. So among the eastern countries, two main people came here for trade. One is the Arabian countries, that is all the Saudi Arabians, the UAE, Dubai, all those things. Then came the European countries. Among European, Italians were the important one. So both of these had the monopoly. Why do we use this word monopoly? Monopoly is they are the only one who perform their activity. Now for example, if I take the laptops, then there are many brands. There are like Acer, there's HP, there's Apple. So many people are performing. If we take mobiles, there are so many like Samsung, Apple, then Vivo, Redmi, many people. There are many brands. That is not called monopoly. If there is only one player in the market, for example, Indian Railways. Is there anybody else running railway system in India? No, it is only Indian government who is running the Indian Railways. That is called monopoly, one and only brand. So similarly, Italians had the monopoly and Arabians had the monopoly. For where? So Italians had it for European countries. So Arab people had it for Asian countries. What is the meaning of this? Anything that is available in Asian continents is sold to Asian countries only by the Arabs. Okay, so if you have to travel by the train, you have to only book it through Indian Railways. You have no other option. Similarly, any European countries want to purchase a cardamom or any other spices, they have to go through Italians, because they were the only one who came to this continent, purchased it and went back and sold it to Europeans. Okay, so that was the scenario. So what happened, since they had Constantinople as a center, Italians were doing the trade and they were very happy because they made much profit. They were happy with that business. So this was the Constantinople. Suddenly what happened in 1453. So far I was talking about before 1453. Before 1453 what happened? All these Italians, Arabians did trade with Asian countries, especially with India through Constantinople. Now, in the year 1453, a group of people called Ottoman Turks, okay, so earlier there were many kings and a group of people who used to attack on the other provinces and they used to do wars. If they win in the war, that place was occupied by the winner. So which we all know. This same thing happened in India also. So Ottoman Turks were the group of people who attacked this Constantinople. So which was the gate of European trade. They attacked it and the king or the queen who were ruling the Constantinople lost and Ottoman Turks became the power of authority. So what did they do now? Because they became the owners or the authorized people, they started levying the tax on the trade. What is this levying tax? Till now, there was no tax or anything for the trade that was happening in Constantinople. Even though if the tax was there, it was not too much. But these Ottoman Turks, they levied heavy taxes. That is, for any purchase or sale, they imposed money on that. Okay. For that, what happened? The Italians who used to travel to Constantinople to meet the other Asian countries, they faced heavy losses. Their business was not under profit. So now what did they do? Instead of doing trade, it is better to keep quiet because they used to not make any profit. So this closes the trade between European countries and Asian countries, especially with India. It stopped. Then what happened? So now what happened? Meanwhile, while this was happening, we know that only Italians were the monopoly people, right? So other European countries like Spain and Portugal, they were constantly trying to make the Italy to come aside, and they wanted to enter the market. It is like giving competition. They were doing multiple strategies because they also belong to Europe. Italians were also. Since they were at the top, these people wanted to stop the Italians. So what did these people do? They encouraged some sailors, because in the earlier days there were no land routes, there were no air routes, because there was no invention happened, correct? So railways or any aeroplanes were not invented. Especially these Middle East countries, the European countries and Asian countries, to meet there was water in between. So there were many oceans and seas. They had to cross the Mediterranean seas, the Red Seas and the Pacific Ocean, other things, right? The Indian Ocean and all. To cross these oceans, the only way is through the ships or boats. So they encouraged some sailors. Sailors are the people who go across the sea routes to explore things. Okay, they encouraged sailors and they provided some equipments. Equipments are like compass. So to find the direction on the ocean or the sea, they had invented compass. Okay, so this compass was given, and gunpowder. Was it? One minute. So they had provided with some equipment, the compass, gunpowder, then astrolabes. Astrolabes are kind of telescope materials which you can view the long distances using them. It's like a binoculars, okay? So all those things were provided, and then a Portugal sailor, so well-known sailor, you all know that, Vasco da Gama. This person, he founded the sea route to India. Okay, he was a Portugal sailor. So where did he start? He started from a place called Lisbon in the Portugal country, and he ended in Capado in Calicut. Capado is an old name which is in present Calicut, which is in Kerala. Okay, so he landed there. So this ensured the new sea route to India, because let us say this is Europe, this is Asia. There was a place called Constantinople. So we had a route like this. From this, they used to enter India. But now Constantinople is closed, so they founded a new sea route, the other alternative route, that is by the Portuguese. Now this enhanced again trade in India. So when did that end? It ended in 1453. Now in 1498, Vasco da Gama discovered the sea route. So almost 40 years there was no trade, for 40 to 45 years I think. So there was no trade, but now again the new sea route is founded. Now let us see what happens. So after this sea route is founded, so Portuguese were the first to re-establish the trade in India. From European countries, among the European countries, Portuguese were the first to re-establish. It is not establishing, re-establishing, because earlier also European countries came to India, especially Italians, but now Portuguese created the sea route and they re-established the trade in India. Now what happens, let us see. So meanwhile what happened, the Portuguese started the trade, it was going on smoothly. Then in the year 1869, guys see, it was 1498 when Vasco da Gama founded the sea route. Almost 1869, can you see, about 400 years, almost 4 to 4.5 century, what happened? In the Egypt, okay. Egypt is where? This is Europe. This is Asia, okay. In between here, the Africa and other things, we have this Egypt here. So these Egyptians, what did they do? They started building a canal, okay. Canal is a kind of medium for the oceans, where it gives a kind of land route, okay. Not land route, it creates a route on the sea. So they wanted to build a canal, and that canal is called Suez Canal, which is world famous now. Okay, they started building in 1869. Why did they build? They wanted to connect the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. So there were two intermediate seas here. They wanted to connect those two seas for their own purpose, maybe for trade or anything. So building the canal was between Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea. So this enabled the traders who used to come for the Europeans to take an alternative route. It is like earlier we had a single route which used to create a lot of traffic, or it was so long. Suddenly we got a flyover or we got a metro train, okay, like that. So like that we got a Suez Canal. Now, comparison. Earlier the route discovered by Vasco da Gama to India was 1800 nautical miles. Nautical miles is the unit to measure the the distance in the sea routes. So 1 nautical mile is 1.85 kilometers. So multiply this with 10,800, almost 15,000 to 16,000 kilometers. So that much route it was, that was long route it was. But now when they started using this Suez Canal, it decreased to half the distance, that is only 6,800 nautical miles. Okay, so now trade became even more faster. Many other countries started entering India or any other Asian countries. Along with Portuguese came other countries. We'll see what happens next. Then, okay, one more thing I forgot to tell. So how did they come? From the Europe, they started in London. London was their main center, okay, where the queen or the prince used to stay, and they used to give orders for them to go and do the trade. So from London, they came to Mumbai in India, because by then they had explored, which is the important seaports and other things. So they came to Mumbai through Cape of Good Hope. So this is an intermediary point. Through this route, they used to reach India. Now, so since Suez Canal came, the distance decreased, so people started traveling. Who all came to India? The European countries, along with Portuguese, who all came. It was Portuguese first, then came the Dutch, the French, and the English people. Okay, Portuguese are from the Portugal country, Dutch is almost from Holland and Netherlands, French are from France, and English are from England. Okay, so all these people came to India to do the trade. Now we will see each and everyone's achievements or what is the problem they created in India, what happened. Let us understand. We'll take each and everyone. Okay, so who were the first to re-establish? It was the Portuguese. What happened? We'll see. So Portuguese people, after Vasco da Gama came here and established the sea route, so it was going on. Then he went, and there came another important person called Francisco de Almeida. Francisco de Almeida. So he came from Portuguese as a viceroy of that government. What do you mean by viceroy? Viceroy is like a representative. He is like a governor. We all have state governments. There is a chief minister, chief minister, deputy chief minister, everything. But there is an important person called governor, whom each and every ministers or even the CM have to report to. And then governor will report this to the central government. Okay, so he came as a representative or a administrator from the Portuguese government to India. Now, what did he do? When he came here, he implemented a unique concept called Blue Water Policy. So, who started Blue Water Policy? It is Francisco de Almeida, the viceroy of Portuguese government. According to this Blue Water Policy, that's because they discovered the sea route to India, nobody else should travel in that road, even because to establish the supremacy. Like in Bangalore, we have Nice Road. Nice Road is a private company which is taking the authority, because any other roads you don't have to pay the tax or anything, but if you travel out of the city, then you have to pay the toll, that is the road tax, which will be given to the government. But here the Nice Road, part of it will be given to government, but most of it will be taken by them. They have claimed the supremacy in Bangalore, because Nice Road doesn't have any shops, it doesn't have much of traffic, it doesn't have humps, so you can connect the major part of the city very easily. So like that they wanted to establish the supremacy in the land road, because nobody else should come here, right? Even if they come, they used to put tax or other things. So this is what he did, and he left. He ruled over some time, he did trade for some time and he went. Then came, what is his name? Alfonso de all his names are very difficult to know. Albuquerque. Okay, so far 3 people from Portuguese: Vasco da Gama, then Almeida, then came Alfonso de Albuquerque, the third person. It is here from where the actual politics or anything started off, because he is called as the founder of Portuguese empire in India. See, so far what happened is to do the business, but he got an idea of establishing their empire. They wanted to rule Indians, they wanted to occupy the places, they wanted to become the owners of this country. So that is why he is called the founder of Portuguese empire. So what did he do? So once he came here, he in the year 1510, so almost from 1498 was the sea route. Almost in the span of 12 to 13 years, they wanted to establish their empire. Okay, what did he do? He fought with a king of Bijapur. Bijapur is presently in Karnataka. So he fought with this king, and by that time Bijapur king had a place called Goa, which Goa is now a separate state. So he fought with him and he captured Goa. Okay, Goa became their it became their place now. He occupied. Now the Portuguese established their trading center and political center here. Trading and political center here. So this became like a capital for Portuguese. So even now if you go to Goa, you can see many Portuguese people staying there because they have their ancestral properties. And even you can see people talking mostly English, and few talk French and Portuguese there. Okay. So now the Portuguese had the absolute monopoly for the trade in India for almost a century. For almost 100 years, the Portuguese were present in India and they were the monopolians. Earlier it was Italians, now it is Italians for Europe, but now Portuguese for India. Nobody else came from Europe to do the trade because they had that supremacy, right? Blue water policy. That is why. So this is an introduction for Portuguese. We'll see what happens then. Okay. So for about 100 years they had that monopoly and then they declined. Decline is what? They ended their ruling, or they ended their business and they went back. Why did they go? Because there came the French and the English people. So they both were very competent and they had a good army system where Portuguese could not defend. So that is why Portuguese went back and then continues their history. Okay, now. So next country which came is Dutch. They also took their participation in India's trade and ruling is again little. So we'll see what happens. So the Dutch people, they came from Holland, or it is called as Netherlands. So from there they came and they also wanted to establish the monopoly in India. So they came up with a company name called United East India Company. When did they come? In the year 1602. So in the year 1510, monopoly was under Portuguese. For 100 years they ruled. What is 100 years almost? From 1500 to 1600. Then came the Dutch by that time. Okay, so what happened? They started off with a company called United East India Company. Why is this name? They wanted to rule the east side of the world. So that is why, especially with India. So they came here and firstly they started their business, or they started their ventures in some places called Sumatra, Java, then Indonesia, Cambe, Cochin, and the spices rich islands. Okay, I'll tell you what are these. Presently, all these are not in India. The Sumatra, Java, all are almost in the Indian Ocean because during tsunami attack and all, some of the places were mostly affected. And Cochin is in India, Cambe India, and Indonesia is apart from India. It is a separate country. So, and some of these spice-rich islands, that is the nearby places in India. Okay, like we can take Andaman and Nicobar, Puducherry, etc. So all these places they came and established. Then they started doing the trade. So they established their warehouses. What do you mean by warehouses? The godowns. They initially came to these places, then they started their own warehouses to store the material. That is in the Surat, Masulipatanam. All these are in India. Masulipatanam, Nagin okay, again Cochin, Chinsur, etc. So after everything, they broke the monopoly of Portuguese. By this time, Portuguese were about to end their rule. Okay, these people became famous. This Dutch people. Then later, again these people also they could not face the competition between the French and the English, who comes later. Okay, who could not face the competition. They wanted their intention was to do the business mostly, not ruling India. So they ended their business all in India especially, and they moved on to spices rich highlands, which is away from India. Okay, nearby, but it is outside India. They went there and they did their trade, that's all. So they also ended their business in India. Then comes the English and the French. We'll see how. Almost half an hour passed.
10:37.
How many?
10:37.
Okay. So we'll see what English did. So in the year 1600, okay. So after this Portuguese and Dutch went, then came the English. They came here in okay. Their Queen Elizabeth gave an order or a kind of letter to do the trades for the east part of the countries. Okay, she announced this in the year 1600. So Queen Elizabeth, so she gave permissions to their leaders or to their people to go out of their country to the east countries like in Asia and conduct the trade. So officially or formally in the year 1613, these people entered India and they met our king called Jahangir. He was a Mughal king. Okay, they met Jahangir and they took permission to do trade in his empire. Okay, this was still formally a trade agreement. That is why our king welcomed them to do the trade, because even our people wanted to sell their goods to other countries to make profit, and they wanted some unique things which were not available in India. That is why he encouraged them to enter. But then later what happened? After taking the permission, they started their first warehouse. Warehouse is what? A kind of godown which had a huge wall to store their materials and also to conduct their activities. Okay, they started their warehouse in Surat. Okay, then in the year 1617, what happened? A person called Sir Thomas Roe. Okay, he came as a royal ambassador. So in olden days, people like any kings used to send one royal ambassador to each provinces or to other country to give a kind of message or a note. What is it? For example, to do any war, they used to send a message to do trade or to purchase something or for any other issues or to seek help, because earlier if a king army is weaker or he doesn't have efficient things, then they used to request with other kings for the additional support. Similarly, Sir Thomas Roe, he came from England. Okay, there James I, he was the king or a prince. They call it as prince. He came here to meet this Mughal king Jahangir, and he requested for few more other branches. Earlier they started in Surat. Now they wanted to they wanted to open their trade centers in other places of his empire, because Jahangir was a famous king by then. He had many other places. Apart from his empire, he was also ruling the other empires in India, because he had defeated the other kings. So this person came and took the permission. So after this, so they established their factories, especially in Agra, Ahmedabad and Bhruch. So almost in the north part of India, Ahmedabad and Gujarat, Agra near Delhi. So Bhruch, which is come to the middle area or to the coastal plain. So they started their other warehouses. Then what happened? So till 1617, so many things happened. Then in the year in 1613 only they established their centers in Agra, Ahmedabad and Bhruch. Okay, the multiple cities where the royal ambassador Thomas Roe took the permission from Mughal emperor. Then the English also took the Madras from the king of Chandragiri. Okay, by then, so far they had established their centers in North India. Then here comes the Madras, which is again the coastal part, very important place to do the trade, because they used to come on these sea routes, right? So all these coastal plains are very important, the places near to ocean. So Madras was here. They also captured Madras from a king of Chandragiri. Chandragiri is a place. That king, the person name is not mentioned, he was ruling Madras. So Madras is present Chennai. Okay, they also took away this Madras from him. Then they established or they built a very strong fort and named it as a St. George Fort. So in Madras they built a strong fort. Fort is kind of palace, and it had huge walls where nobody else can enter there. Okay, earlier days, for the protection of the kingdom, people used to build compound, a kind of compound around it. So they built St. George Fort in Madras. Okay, after this, what happened? This happened in 1668. When did they build St. Fort George? In 1668. Then we'll see what happens later. Then in the year 1690, what happened? The English people purchased 3 villages in India, because they were becoming strong day by day. They were making good money. They had help from Mughal king Jahangir, and now they have already captured Madras by defeating the king the king of the Chandragiri. Now they had money. They purchased 3 villages in India in the year 1690. So which were those 3 villages? It is Sutanauti, Kalikata and Govindapuram on the banks of river Hooghly. So Madras was here. Going up, we had Andhra. This is all present days, but earlier there were no divisions like that. So these are all the Andhra Pradesh and the Telangana part. And going away, here we had West Bengal. Okay, here there was a river flowing called Hooghly, which is close to Bay of Bengal. So at the banks of river Hooghly, there were 3 villages: Govindapuram, Sultanpatti, one more is Kalikata. So Calicut, it is Kalikata. So these 3 villages were purchased by the English in the year 1690. Why did they purchase? They wanted to become the owners of those cities. If they purchased this place, all the trade activities which were held in these places were under their control. All the money, revenue, whatever comes from that place belongs to English people. Okay? If we closely observe, their plan is to occupy entire the coastal plain. Here they came, they occupied the Ahmedabad Bhruch, then now it is Hooghly, then the Madras or the Chennai region. So if you see, all the coastal plains are occupied by the English, because earlier there was only sea route. Now they wanted to establish their monopoly. We'll see what happens then. So that is over. 1609. By the end of 17th century, there are 3 important centers, trade centers. One is Calcutta. So Calcutta, from whom did they get? They got from Mughal king. Then they got Madras. Then they had got Bombay also by then. Bombay is towards the east, near the Maharashtra. Okay. So all the 3 important cities were under them by the end of 17th century. Okay. And forgot to tell one more thing. When they took those 3 villages near Hooghly River, they built one more fort called Fort William. Earlier they had St. George Fort, now they have built Fort William. This became their capital city or capital center. It's like a head office for them, Fort William. Okay, so this happened by the end of 17th century. Bombay, Calcutta and Madras were under their control, and by 18th century, what happened? Okay, by 18th century they made Calcutta as their capital city where Fort William was present for their ruling, and they not only wanted to do the trade, slowly they were occupying our cities and they captured. Then there was another country which entered as French, which is also a European country. They are all from one part, but they were fighting each other to occupy the whole India. So both of these had huge competition to occupy India, and between their competition resulted consecutive wars called Carnatic Wars. See, to get anything, earlier they used to conduct war. So if whoever wins, the winner will get that place or that resource. So between French and English, along with some Indian kings who supported English and some supported French, together they fought in 3 Carnatic Wars. Carnatic War 1, 2 and 3. Then we'll see what happens the result in the next session. Okay? So that is all about the English people. We'll see what we'll see the little bit introduction of French also. Then in the next tomorrow's session we will see the Carnatic Wars. Okay. When did this French enter and what did they do? We'll quickly look upon. So all these were still going. The English people did not end their rule because they were still powerful. Whereas earlier the Portuguese ended, the Dutch ended, English came. Now the French came in the year 1664. Whereas the English was still present. They had not left the country. So French came with a company name called French East India Company. French East India Company. In the year 1664, they came to a place called Surat again, where these English had established their warehouse in the year 1668. Okay, they came to Surat, and later they re-established the factories where the Dutch people had occupied, right? The Machilipattanam, then other places. In those places again trade started because of the French. Okay, which are those places? It is Machilipattanam. Then Chandranagar, Mahe, Kazim Bazar, many more. Okay, so in these places they established their warehouses or factories. Then in the year 1674, what happened? 1664 they entered. By 1668 they started their first factory or warehouse in Surat. Then followed by they re-established businesses in Machilipattanam, Kazim Bazar, then Chandranagar, etc. In the year 1674, the French took a Muslim province. Like there was a ruler who was a Muslim. That person center was Wali Kandapuram. Okay, is Wali Kanda. So this place was occupied by the French. Okay, so once this was occupied and it developed into a big trade center because even French had their own unique products to sell and to purchase in India. So there was a lot of competition, and Wali Kandapuram became a big trade center by then in the year 1674. Then, which is presently called as Puducherry or Pondicherry. This place is now called as Pondicherry. Then, so trade was going on. Even the French people thought that English people are occupying each and every place in India, and there is opportunity to rule because Indians were divided. There was no proper government, so nobody used to question. If the king is defeated, the place belongs to them. Even the French people got that greed, and they sent a governor called Dupleix. Okay, he is a very powerful person. They sent him to go and establish the empire in India. They wanted to occupy India. So Dupleix came with a big ambition to send all these English and others out of India, and wanted to establish a strong power of French in India. He had that ambition. So especially he targeted South India because South India had all the major seaports. That is, the coastal region was in South India. So this was the intention. It is still here. Then starts the competition between French and the English. Both will fight for taking the supremacy in India. That we will see in the next class. Thank you so much.